right. Oh.
Car outside.
That was the wrong window.
Still there. Clear high.
Welcome. We are about to do something I'm probably only ever going to do this one time. But this is going to be the how Craig drives this car and just how much info Craig has in his Windows day. So, by popular request, welcome race fans. This is my main monitor. So yeah, we're going to do the top split race today at Homestead. Again, it's Christmas, so I was able to work from home last Tuesday and work from home again this Tuesday. Probably be able to next Tuesday as well. So be able to do top split these first 3 weeks. That's nice. But I know John and others have been had questions about my setup and driving the car, and I thought, what easier way than to just like actually show my main monitor and all the the overlays that I use, and then as I go through the race I will start working my way through them. For anyone that's familiar with the various overlays, I use a combination of RaceLab apps, obviously, as my primary overlays. It's the same ones that you guys see on the streams. I use the paid version because some of the stuff that they do in the paid version is excellent. So I feel it's worth the $60 a year that they charge for it. But honestly, the free version contains more than enough that any normal person could need, like the blind spot bars. Honestly, the blind spot indicators, I show them on the stream normally.
Just withdrew to make it 67 drivers. Show yourself, coward.
But
I think that's kind of the point that we're not going to show.
The blind spots work really, really well. I mean, nothing's going to replace the power of the IndyCar and triple monitors, having like an open to my right, being able to see.
Like gummy worms of sugar.
But blind spots are awesome. But you will notice there is one overlay that I use that is different. That is the top left. That is I use that as opposed to RaceLab apps relative. It doesn't matter whether, have the standings on the top right is RaceLab apps. But you'll notice in the top right one, RaceLab apps has the push to pass, and it has no information in it. In the top left, that is what I use iOverlay for. The push to pass numbers in RaceLab apps for the IndyCar and the Indy Light, well, the Indy Lights is a new car, but for the IndyCar have been broken for like 2 years now. Basically, as soon as we switched from you getting 10 uses of the push to pass to having 200 seconds of push to pass, the push to pass has been broken in RaceLab apps, and they have done nothing to fix it. I assumed they were waiting for the hybrid system to go in. Still broken. The iOverlay overlay push to pass works in the IndyCar. Has since they launched it. I use the free version of iOverlay. In the free version, push to pass is available. Thus, I use their relative window. Doesn't mean anything on ovals, but for road courses, that's vital information. So that's the one thing I use iOverlay for. It's unfortunate, like iOverlay, the track map is a part of their paid version. I think the track map is something that should just be free. It's in the track map in RaceLab apps is free. There's more things that are free in RaceLab apps. Is why I say if you're gonna go with the one that you want to have as free, RaceLab apps is the one you want. And quite honestly, if you use both of them, between RaceLab apps and all the stuff that they have is free, and using iOverlay's relative that gives you the push-to-pass numbers for the IndyCar on road courses. Best of both worlds. Did we make top split? We should. Unless we just got like a ton of... What car number am I? I don't want to be car number 16. 4771. Okay, so this has to be top. All right. We are at Homestead. Not one of the tracks that I'm super good at. I usually end up burning out my tires on it. You'll get to see the nice thing with the IndyCar in the new steering wheel is we now get tire temperatures right here in the on the screen. So those are live tire temperatures. Very cool. You can also, like, Regen 10 is the hybrid system. You don't get to, you can actually change how the hybrid deploys and how the hybrid recharges. You can play with that, but you can only do that in open setup, not in fixed. In fixed, it's just stuck at this. Honestly, I am so new to the hybrid system. I don't even, I say the hybrid system is a lot. It's a lot to take in on top of push to pass, especially like road courses. It's absolutely nuts. Basically, the hybrid system works. I'll just sit in the car here. And you can see to the, just below the blind spot indicators are a little set of LEDs in the cockpit. When I turn the car on, you'll see they go red, orange, green. That's your charge. You get that basically right now the battery is 100% charged. I also, because I find the LED battery lights really hard to pay attention to while I'm driving, I've added the RaceLab app's boost box, exactly the same as I've had it on my streams. It's very in my face. It's directly just below my line of sight as I'm driving. You can see I basically keep the where I look overlay free. Like the on track, no overlays are in my way. I mean, ignoring the in pit lane and the pit limiter, the stuff that I have directly centered. That's just the iRacing stuff. And being right there doesn't bother me. It's not there when I'm on track. And of course, when a flag comes out, I want that right in my face. When a yellow flag comes out, you want to know immediately yellow flag. But as far as all the overlays, I keep them either below below the field of view in the cockpit area or up at the top out of the way. I don't have any idea what I should be running for qualifying here. We will see what happens. So the one thing I do, if you look at the very bottom below my wheel, I have iRacing's oil temperature and water temperature down there. It's unfortunate that they don't let you turn off the RPMs. I don't really need the RPMs, but I like just having the oil and water temperature. It lets me know when the car is overheating, that type of stuff, without taking up space on the overlays, on other overlays. It's out in the bottom, out of the way, very bottom of my monitor. In fact, I have to slightly look up over my wheel to see it because it's not that important. But I do like to have it visible on the screen if I need to. Generally, it's under caution when I look at it. When you're burning fuel under caution, you want to pay attention to what your water temperature and your oil temperatures are to make sure that you don't pop the engine. So you can see the ARBs, I think it was what, 5.4 by default, I think was the iRacing default for Homestead. I don't really know what I'm going to use here. I don't have a secret setup or anything. I'm just basically going to pay attention to how my tires are burning on my right side tires and try and keep them roughly equal. That won't really matter in qualifying. We're just going to go for it. It looks like tossing away your first lap is the I think I waited too long. I was talking too much and didn't pay attention. I've got to get across this line in 15 seconds. I might have waited too long. Oh no, we're good. Give it a bunch of weight jacker, slight lift, back on the throttle. Take the weight jacker away. Back into the weight jacker. Take the weight jacker away. Down the straight. Weight jacker again. Ooh, we are slow. A full 2/10 slower than you probably didn't need to do the lift in the qualifying setup. It was probably the car was probably able to just deal with. Again, it's only 2 laps, so you don't really care about, you know, wearing out your tires. Oh well, we're starting near the back. That's fine. This whole session is going to be me talking through overlays and stuff, so. So yeah, the program that I use for my hyperjacker and also for my pit limiter, but hyperjacker, basically you need some type of program that turns joystick button pushes into keyboard presses. Most people use a program called Joy to Key. I use a program called Voice Attack. I went one too far. Which, oh my goodness, how about we click on Voice Attack, which is this program right here. Just for you, John. So this is Voice Attack. It's just a program. I mean, primarily Voice Attack, it turns voice commands into keyboard presses, but it also has the ability to turn joystick presses, and all your steering wheel is a joystick. Button presses into keyboard commands. How the hyperjacker works is you just basically tell it when I press, you know, you basically say, oh my God, I have this one set up to 10. When I press this button, when I press a button, press this keyboard command 10 times. And now that I've realized that's set to 10, I realize that I need to change that to 5. And I need to do it quickly before I miss the grid.
Good luck.
And you will see. So I have my normal weight jackers down here at the plus and the minus. And if you watch my weight jacker, bottom left of the steering wheel, up 1, down 1. However, up in these buttons here, up 5, down 5. It's basically Voice Attack is saying, when I press this button, perform the keyboard command that I've said, but then the loop is something customizable. And I've programmed mine to say, do it 5 times. That changes at various tracks you're at. You know, this is a track I probably should have changed both of them to 10, quite honestly. But that's fine. You just do double button presses. So so let's focus on just getting the race underway here. The other thing you'll notice in my black box, bottom right, the iRacing black box, I don't have any of my pit stop stuff checked by default. That's just a thing I do. I like to manually set it all. I like to never have my fast repair check marked. Means nothing in official, of course. But for league, you know, I do enough league racing, and there are enough leagues I'm in that have a fast repair option that I don't want to waste a fast repair on a bent wing that just takes 5 seconds to repair.
Ride him, cowboy.
don't know what I should have for settings here. That was what I didn't want to have to happen. I knew the car was going to be twitchy off the start. I got made nervous. Double check. Do I have any damage? Car looks fine. No damage to report. So that's just a button that you can set up in iRacing under the, I think it's in the main section is damage report, and you just assign a button to it. And of course, your spotter can either say it to you or chat it or text type it to you. I don't use the iRacing voice spotter at all. I only use the text version of him because I use RaceLab apps. So this is a tough track. This is a track where you're normal, one of those tracks where you are actually best to use a lot of hyperjacking, where you're increasing your weight jacker a whole bunch. I'm at +10 right now. And then on corner exit, dropping it back down so you don't spin to the inside wall.
I appreciate your patience there, Greg. I wasn't coming up to hit you, but thank you for keeping that in mind.
We all good. I'm doing a different kind of stream. And I don't want to die. Okay, so what I haven't used yet at all is my hybrid system. So, you can pay attention to the LEDs in the left or right side of the cockpit, or just the boost box overall. The important thing to know about the hybrid system is that you get, basically, the battery is fully, oh, and there we go. Someone, won't be a caution because they both spun to the inside wall and no one rocketed back out. Basically, as soon as you go below the line on the back straight, it's off the racing surface, and iRacing doesn't throw a caution for that unless you get punted back out onto the racing line. So back to the hybrid. So you can use 3 full uses of the battery per lap. That will of course never happen on a oval. You'd never be able to recharge it that many times. But on a road course, so basically, if I was to use it right now, you watch, it goes down. I don't know, that's interesting that it went up to 62% on a single discharge. And then now I completed a lap, so it's reset to, the top one is reset to 0%. So I've used it 0% this lap. But you can also see my battery has not recharged. Well, that's because there's only 3 instances that the battery will recharge. Basically when you brake. When you go off throttle to less than I think it's 25%. or when you manually tell it to recharge. Now, manually telling it to recharge is something you would only do, like you could do it on an oval, you do it in like pack racing. You could basically be behind a couple guys and tell the hybrid system manually, because basically when you do it, it's like sticking a parachute out the back of the car, because basically it's the hybrid system is engaging to regenerate, so it's slowing you down. It's creating friction. It's basically like applying the brakes lightly. So you would want, on an oval, you'd want to be in a pack race and in the draft, so those guys can just pull you along while you're recharging your hybrid. Now on a road course, as I was saying, so on a road course, there's lots and lots of off throttle and braking, of course. So they have to come up with some type of maximum amount you can use it per lap. And, one full charge of the battery is not enough. You could use that up just exiting one corner. So what they do is they let you use 300% of your charge per lap. So basically the battery fully charged 3 times, you can use that. Now, whether you only use like...
Before you ask, yes, it was real, no damage.
50%, you could use it 50% 6 times, assuming you're recharging it all those times. All right, so I'm noticing that my right rear is falling behind my right front in temperatures. Now, that's normal for me. I'm someone who overdrives my car into corners. So I raised the right ARB one. I went from 2 to 3 to stiffen the rear end up. Yeah, if we get a caution, I need to change that hyperjacker to be +10. It's not... This track in particular is one that likes bigger weight jacker spreads. So you can see, I've said before, it's going to take me the whole season to learn the weight jacker or the hyperjacker, because I forget to use it.
Good day, Trace.
All right, so let's talk fuel. Bottom left of my screen is the RaceLab app's fuel calculator. You will see I have it set up to show me in orange my last lap's fuel usage, below that in blue the last 5 laps, and in green the last 10 laps. That's not the important stuff. The important stuff is that final roll, T refuel. That's your total amount of fuel to the end of the race. Now, official races are not a good example of when it's useful, because no official race requires 2 or more full fuel pit stops. But for league racing, where, as you can see, a full tank in the IndyCar here is 70 liters, unless I'm in one of my leagues that has a fuel restricted fuel box, which we do that for like races. Basically, usually it's somewhere in the 75% range, and that's just to make sure that you actually have to pit more than once in a race, in like an hour-ish like long race. Having a race where you only have to pit once, and only, you can even see, and only for a quarter of a tank of fuel, is no strategy at all. It's not even, in my opinion, good racing. So if you think for a longer race, what it does is, let's say we're, 20 laps into a 200 lap race. And I see that based on my current fuel usage, I need 225 more liters of fuel. And again, I as I say, the guys that are stuck on gallons, liters, it's just a number. The reason I use liters is not just because I'm Canadian, but also because fuel usage in liters is calculated on liters per lap. Gallons is always calculated in miles per gallon. And my immediate response to that is, how long is this track? How long is Homestead? Is this a mile-long track, or is this a mile and a half? Or is it 1.45 miles? I have no idea, honestly. I don't know what the exact mileage is. In liters per lap, I don't need to know how big the track is. I don't even care, because I know how much I'm calculating how much fuel I use per lap. And that is track agnostic. I don't care what track I'm at. I care how much it's calculating for me how much fuel I'm using. So if I'm using, in this case, you could see used, and I'm using 1.3-ish liters per lap. Well, in my head, I can immediately calculate. If I'm 10 laps from the end, I need 13 more liters. If I'm 20 laps from the end, I need 26 more liters. It's simple math. It makes doing your math calculations on the fly while you're driving the car so easy and quick. But back to the overall, like the total refuel. If you think we're 20 laps into a 200 lap race, and I see that it's telling me I need 225. Whoa! Indy caught the apron and twitched there. And I'm seeing 225 liters to the end. Well, on a 70-liter tank, 210 liters is 3 more stops. So that means I would have to do a 15-liter splash at the end of the race. The earlier in the race that I know that I need to save 15 liters, the easier it is to do. Saving 15 liters over 3 stops, or 3 total stints, is easy. Discovering with 60 to go that you need to save 15 liters, it's too late. You won't be able to save it. Now, I'm not bothering even trying to save fuel here. I'm just racing. But this would be the point where, you go, okay, I need to lower my fuel map and maybe start drafting behind someone. I'm in no man's land here. There's no one to draft with. I'm talking so much, I'll probably end up going a lap down before the end of this race. I should really actually set up my... What was that number I need? Is 31, 32 liters. All right, 32 liters. I should probably change tires. That would be good. As far as timing, like you'll see me in races say, you know, I need to time my fuel to my tires. There's a certain amount of time that, you know, tires take, period. But it isn't a full fuel. Like when you're refueling with full fuel, 70 liters, that takes like 7.5 seconds roughly. Well, changing your tires takes like 5-ish seconds. So knowing off the top of your head how much fuel you can take in the time of a tire change is really beneficial. It's somewhere around 50 liters. Roughly 50 liters is basically the exact same time it takes to change tires. So anything less than that, you know that its tires are going to be what takes all the time in your pit. So in this case, where you see I need to get, it's telling me I need 32 liters to get to the end, we know that it's tires that's going to take the time in the pit stall. There's short of not taking tires, which would be an absolute lunacy at this track. There's no way to get the pit stop under the time it takes to change tires. I am never going to remember to use this hybrid thing. My God, it is going to take me all of 2026 to learn it. It's just not... It is the epitome of training an old dog new tricks, right? So, the guys that are pitting now are hoping we stay green. They're going to go... You can see I'm 0.6 of a laps slower than I was on new tires, so they are going to go blazing fast. I think we're going to pit next lap. Why? Because why not? We aren't going to be challenging for the win here. I'm spending my time talking, so we may as well try and make something fun happen. Which, if it stays green... So I normally add a bit of negative weight jacker when I come into the pits at a track... one like this, just to keep me from spinning my back end out. But it does mean you don't turn as well. So it's a compromise. Oh, right, I qualified poorly. At this track, you also have to keep in mind pit exit. It is super slippery. And guys routinely will spin out and spin up on track and cause a caution. That's the main reason not to pit early, is because this is a track that is likely to have someone lose it trying to get up to speed here on cold tires, trying to push it. And you can see, so that was Steven P10, and I just left him in the dust. He's still out, still on old tires, and that's how slow those guys are on old tires. All right, let's focus on making a bit of time here. It still doesn't like Matt.
Stay in this lap. Stay in this lap.
Sitting in this time. Going low.
So I should have, like, I was battling Indy before I pitted, and I've had it, you know, what lap am I on now? Lap 5? Should be a good 2-3 seconds ahead of him when he comes out, but then he'll be on the fresh tires. So that's the other thing. If you look up at the standings in the top right, you'll see that I'm using RaceLab apps to tell me how long everyone was on their tires. You could see I went 43 laps, and now I'm on lap 6, now 7 for the tires. It's also nice for on the road courses. If someone's on the reds, the tire will of course be red. So you can tell if someone, you know, is on the better tires as they're coming up on you or as you're coming up on them. You know, you have that advanced knowledge before they're even in sight. So if we look at the pit box, you can see that I absolutely tore apart my right front on that stint, 36%. Compared to 66% right rear. So I was way too tough on my, you know, that's just not paying attention and talking. But way too tough on my right front. I ripped it apart, that's why I was so slow. Again, I'm not good at saving my tires, and this is a track that penalizes you for that. So that combo. Mark's coming up on me, doing his the proper lift early and turn in technique where I'm not. Also, he's on 2-lap old tires, and you can just see my tires. I'm already 0.6 of a lap slower than I was on the fresh tires. Well, I don't like what I'm seeing here. If you look down at my fuel, I've been talking so much, I haven't paid attention to the fact that I'm using too much fuel. I mean, now that the tires are worn out, I'm not as fast, and I won't even be able to use as much fuel. You can see on that last lap already, because as I noted, I'm losing speed because the tires are wearing out. Thus, I'm not carrying as much speed through the corners, so I'm not on the throttle as much. But I am going to have to save some fuel if this is staying green. So we will drop it down a couple maps. Map 3. Now, there was no need for me to do this. As I was saying when I was explaining the pit stops, I could have taken 50 liters of fuel and the tires still would have taken longer. So I really should have put like 35, 36 liters in. I should have put a buffer in. I didn't. And now I'm paying for it. Oh, you like my cat shirt? Some people might say I'm a loud person. No one on the golf course mistakes me for anyone else from like 4 holes away. I am extremely short on fuel now. Oh, this is bad. I need to get up to these guys and just sit behind them. Alright, Trace is on lap 11. He will get by me no problem. Yeah, my golf league team is a bunch of like curmudgeon-y old farmer 70 plus year olds. So they're all like, you know, the dark greens and the dark grays and like and I come out in my loudmouth pants that are just the most obnoxious stuff I can come up with and the brightest shirts I can find, and I'm just like, yep, here I am. All right.
Sitting in.
So, fell behind on my tools there. Did not counteract. So this is again where I said I wish I had my my hyperjacker set up to up and down 10 instead of 5. Because as the tires are wearing, I need more and more weight jacker to the left side on exit if I want to carry speed. I'm more the John Daly. I don't drink or smoke cigars as much. Well, I don't smoke cigars at all, but John Daly is a man after my heart when it comes to drinking, that's for sure. All right, so we are now the last car on the lead lap. It's why you moving ISRA to Wednesdays is not a good thing. Because, well, you know what's on Wednesdays in the summer? Wednesdays is men's night. But I mean, that was the same reason I couldn't do Lionheart back in the day. That's why I liked the Lotus 79 and the DW12 leagues, because they weren't on Wednesday. Oh my goodness. Are we there yet? We won't catch. We'll catch Mason, but we won't be able to pass him. Oh yeah. I mean, Matt knew that too with me and Horizon. It was like in the summers, unless it's raining, I won't be. I can't make a Horizon race, right? I hate this hybrid. I hate having to remember this damn thing. Just leaving time on the table, not using it. I wish it would just auto deploy. No, honestly, I wish the hybrid was just built into the car and we had 1,200 horsepower instead. The car already has push to pass. It doesn't need another push to pass just to say you have a hybrid, just to say you have a hybrid system. Make the hybrid always work. Make it part of the car's total horsepower at all times. Wait, where's my white flag? Oh no. Wait, the leader has the white flag. Uh-oh. Matthew lost it on the lap before the last lap. It was telling me that the leader was getting the white flag. And Anna is 2 seconds behind me. There's my white flag.
Yeah!
Hey. Oh, Mason's out of fuel.
Great race, Anna. Great race. Thank you for not doing anything dirty. That was awesome.
Oh, Kyle passed. Oh,
Yeah, that was an amazing battle. That was an amazing race throughout the whole thing. Great race today.
Did you like win the 500 or something? GG.
this is top split, man. You win a top split race? Hell, good on you. So yeah, we can go into like, again, as I said, like everything up here, as you can see, iOverlay I use in the top left solely because it has a working push to pass system. RaceLab apps does not. It's the only thing I use iOverlay for, and the day RaceLab apps finally fixes their bloody push to pass for the IndyCar, I'll stop using iOverlay because it's yet another program running on my computer. But yeah, I like all the stuff that RaceLab apps comes with. The pit limiter, this little pit limiter window, I need a bright green thing that says pit limiter on, pit limiter off. Because if you watched me back in the COVID days or watched any of the broadcasts where I was racing in the COVID days and before then, I was Mr. Double Tap when it came to pushing my pit limiter, because I would be like, oh, I've hit it. Is it on? I don't know. And I would hit it again. Or I would just double tap it just reflexively and turn it off on myself. So I need that bright green thing that says your pit limiter's on. It helps that I also always have a reminder of myself of what my tires were on the last stint, so I can pay attention. But that pit limiter thing leads me to showing voice attack. And the other thing that I use, well, wow, there's too many things open on the screen right now. Let's turn off. The other thing, including, ignoring the weight jacker. So again, all the weight jackers are, as you can see, it's because voice attack is designed as it's designed primarily as a voice command program. You have to name your program or name your button, your command, what you would say, and then you just turn off the voice command. But you can see joystick 1, again, that's my wheel. Button 5 is press my left shift and the left bracket, hold it down for 0.05 seconds and let go of it. I'll explain why I use a shift and a button, like I use basically two keys to press this. It's cats. The reason I do it is because of cats. If they walk on my keyboard, I don't want them accidentally pressing buttons like my pit limiter or my weight jacker. So you just tell iRacing, I'll show you in iRacing when I get out of the car. You'd be able to see it as keybinds, car setup adjustments, right spring set. I've told iRacing when I hold shift and press the bracket or the other bracket, hold shift to press the other bracket. Why iRacing doesn't show a shift for both, don't know. But when I hold shift and press the bracket, that's weight jacker down. When I press shift and press the other bracket, that's weight jacker up. You do that specifically not for your weight jacker up or down 1. You could just do that with a button press. But then how would you do the hyperjacker? Because the hyperjacker is press that button a bunch of times. And you can't tell the hyperjacker, when I press this button, press my other joystick button a bunch of times. It doesn't work that way. It wants to do keyboard commands. So all you do is you just tell, instead you make your weight jacker be a keyboard button, which is fine. You just need to remember to start voice attack or your weight jacker won't work in a race. And I think you've seen me do that before, where I've suddenly realized I don't have voice attack running and I have no weight jacker control. And then I'm like scrambling to try and get it started. But for the hyperjacker, it's the exact same thing, just in a loop. So it's press the button and press shift and the keyboard command for 5 seconds, but loop it 5 times. Or in the case of gateway, what I should have done is come in here, quickly change that to 10, and now it would do it 10 times. And then, the next race, 5 is my default. I find I use, I honestly use up and down 5 more than I use up and down 1. And that's 90% of IndyCar races, is oval races, is 5 is good enough. The guys that are like, oh, after 20 laps, I'm at this exact number, and 24 laps, I'm at this exact number. It's like, I don't have the car control for that. I couldn't tell you the difference between lap 20 and lap 24 on my car. I'm just going around in a circle. But, okay. For my pit limiter, this is what I've done on my pit limiter. Ignore basically I have to have my pit limiter. I have 2 different wheels. I have my round wheel and my IndyCar wheel. But for my pit limiter, this is what I didn't realize I still have it at 3.5 seconds. So because I was Mr. Double Tap on my pit limiter, I switched my pit limiter over to being a keyboard press, specifically because voice command has the ability to basically stop me from pressing the button twice. And I've accomplished this by saying, hold it for 3.5 seconds. As long as I'm holding it for 3.5 seconds, it can't be pressed again. And really, I'm going to go in here right now and change this to 2.5 seconds because I don't need that level. There is a danger to this, though. If I was to ever press my weight jacker while I was out on track, I can't turn it off for 2.5 seconds. Now, my pit limiter is, hidden up here. There's the plastic of my rim has a cover to prevent me from accidentally pressing it. That's exactly what that's doing. So that's why I have the only reason that I have my pit limiter being controlled by voice attack is to stop me from double tapping it. It's a crutch that I use. And if you don't ever double tap your pit limiter, you don't need to do it. But if you're someone who's found yourself accidentally pressing it a second time and then suddenly speeding in pit lane, there's your solution. So yeah, that's all I'm doing. So you can see button 5. Actually, I should turn on my wheel. Sony edit, copy with wheel, paste. Haha! God, I like it when it works. So, this is my weight jacker down button. That is this joystick 1 button 5. When I press it once, it presses the left shift and the bracket key, holds it down for 0.05 of a second and lets it go. Now, the one below it is weight jacker down 5. That's button 4. That's this, I just gave you it backwards. This is my weight jacker down 1. This is my hyper jacker. I should stop calling it weight jacker down 5 because it's just the hyper jacker. So I press this button once and it does this loop. It presses this command 5. It does this command 5 times. That command is hold shift, press the bracket key. Hold it down for 0.05 of a second, let it go. Press it again for 0.05 of a second, let it go 5 times. So basically 0.25, in 0.25 of a second, it has done that keyboard command 5 times. And that's your hyperjacker. So if you needed it to go up 20 times, that would be a full second. So it takes 1 second to go from -20 to 0. Well, the only time that it becomes really important is for Indy qualifying. And that's the time, depending on the setup, like the iRacing fixed setup still is good with it. When we were qualifying for the PRI 500, we didn't use the hyperjacking at all because of how we had the car trimmed out. There was no advantage to using the hyperjacker. So basically, taking the car into the negative territory actually lowered the wing so much that it was causing drag. So we stopped using the hyperjacker. It was just faster to leave the car at our corner settings and just slowly work our way through the lowering the weight jacker as the tires were wearing out. But those are the edge cases. There used to be a time when you would go +20 in the corner at Indy, -20 on the straights, +20 in the corners. And how are you going to go 40 clicks of weight jacker one at a time? And that was with the fix set. I think that was 2 or 3 years ago version of the fix set. It was crazy. So that's where the hyperjacker came in. You created a hyperjacker that said, press this button 40 times. When I press this button on my wheel, perform this command 40 times. And it does it in 0.05 of a second per press, so in 2 seconds. You could not possibly do that yourself in 2 seconds. That's all hyperjacking is. Again, I use it for the +5, -5. It's because I find myself going up and down 5, as Mike says. It's the most common thing to do. I'm comfortable in the corners. Oh, I need to go down a bit on exit. This is where I'm comfortable in the corner. Oh, I need to go down a bit on exit. Just to keep yourself from looping the car off of 4 and skidding down into the grass. You can do that a heck of a lot faster with plus or minus 5 than you can pressing the down 1 5 times. Apply, done. As I said, you always hear Crew Chief talking in the background. I love Crew Chief. I like that he's a snarky jerk. Crew Chief does have the ability to listen, to do voice commands as well, same as voice attack. Crew Chief has a built-in like whole set. You can, I have it all turned off because I stream and so I'm talking and I don't want Crew Chief to do stuff or talk or listen to me when I'm doing. Exactly, Mike. So, but if you are someone that like you don't have enough buttons for all the things you can do, there's stuff that Crew Chief can do, like set up your pit stops. You could tell him, right side tires only. First off, you'd name your Crew Chief something like, I think they have like 4 or 5 default names that when you enable them, it responds to. So you can go Jim, and that's Crew Chief's key. It hears Jim, and it's like, yes. And then it listens for whatever you say next. And it's like right side tires only. And for NASCAR is something where you can take only right sides or only left sides, that type of stuff. And it will just perform that command for you in the background without you having to click through the pit box and check mark the right things or move your mouse and take your wheel off and suddenly the guy in front of you lifted and you were looking down at the time and bang, you hit him. I don't use that stuff, but Crew Chief does that. I like it. As I've said, I use a combination of the iRacing spotter and the Crew Chief spotter. I use the Crew Chief spotter for audio, but I still use the iRacing spotter for text. So where is the spotter? I'm still learning. It must be an audio. Voice chat, AI spotter, here he is. So you can see I have the spotter enabled, but I have his voice disabled. But I have all his messages turned on. So that's where you see the iRacing, it pops up and it says like, the car to your outside, car to your inside, all the stuff that iRacing says voice-wise, it also gives it to you in text. The main reason that's good is because iRacing is the only one that gives you a tire report. It'll tell you when your tires hit 50%. It'll tell you when your tires hit 25%. Crew Chief can't do that. Only the iRacing spotter can. So that's why I leave the text enabled for the iRacing spotter. What else? Honestly, the other program that I use that no one should use, and they stopped doing development on it back in 2024, is Sim Racing Apps. It's for my 4th monitor up top. I just use it because it gives me a nice clean all 35 car standing list. So if you ever see this program pop up, it's only because it's been on my 3rd monitor or my 4th monitor for like 6 or 7 years now, and I've just always used it. And they don't even support it anymore. For the newer tracks, it doesn't work. So it's a dead app. But with all of that comes to the holy cow, that's a lot of programs to remember to start. And this is where what my secret is. Because if you think, I have RaceLab apps, iRacing overlay, Crew Chief, that sim racing apps program that was the one I said is up on my 4th monitor. But there's also my streaming stuff, OBS, Streamlabs that I have to set. So it's basically 5 programs that you have to remember to start, all to be iRacing. I actually cheat. Yeah, I still have that calculator. It's right up here. I don't even pay attention to it anymore because it's nowhere near as good as the RaceLab apps one. The RaceLab apps, after they finally added the total fuel to the end, it's freaking perfect. Well, no, it isn't perfect. I wish there was a way. It has a habit of calculating your max fuel under caution. I don't know why they pay any attention to your laps under caution in the fuel calculations. So whenever I burn fuel, like I'm going around and I'm full throttle at 70 miles an hour behind the car, it suddenly shows that as my max fuel. Why the calculator isn't able to go, or there isn't even an option for you to go ignore caution laps. I don't know. But I wish there was a way for you to go reset. Like, oh, the information that you're giving me in the fuel calculator is hideously wrong. Start over. There's no way to do that. I don't know, a little button that you could press with your mouse or something. I have no idea. Or a keyboard button, maybe. Maybe there is a keyboard button and I've never discovered it. So the problem is with the IndyCar, we're not at full fuel so often that you have to really know what your map 1 full fuel fuel usage is. Because a lot of times, even the last 10 laps, you saw that. I was calculating my last 10 laps. I took 1 liter, I think it was saying I needed 32, and I took 33, and I needed probably 36 liters. Because once I got fresh tires on, I was back to just blasting full fuel laps, and there was only 18 laps to go. So there was never that time to get those last 20 laps in where I was using, almost no fuel, like 25% less fuel. So I wish there was a way to like just keep to manually enter this is my fuel number that I want you to always just display how many laps I can go and how much fuel I would need to fill up to make that number. But starting multiple programs all at once. This is anyone that's old, we're old. Batch files. Any of us that ran DOS programs had to set up Wing Commander to use extended memory in DOS. We learned how to use batch files. All batch files are basically just little notepad programs that say to do stuff. It's basically you create a notepad file and then rename it .bat batch. And that basically when you double click it, it will run whatever you've told that notepad file to do. And I actually have created one, and you see, it even says edited notepad. It knows a bat file, a .bat file, is just a text file from Notepad that you've renamed. This is my batch file that auto starts all of my apps for me. So echo off, I think, is you have to do that automatically. It tells it to type in whatever follows. And then you could see, if you're familiar with doing any type of start or run commands in Windows, it's change directory to crew chief, and then you have to put in brackets the whole directory file, and then start crew chief v4.exe, and then change directory to Racelab apps, start Racelab apps, and you just do that for all the programs that you want it to start, and then exit at the end of it. That's all it is. And you can have it start multiple programs that way. Now, you can have it start bad programs too. So don't do, this is a curious one. You'll notice that Streamlab apps has quotations at the start and then quotations. That's because there's a space in Streamlabs OBS. In the exe file, you'll notice the other ones, like any of the other ones, are either one word, or if they do have a space in them, it actually has an underscore to make it one single string. Well, Streamlab Apps is a modern program that has spaces. Windows doesn't, or DOS, the DOS commands don't like spaces. So you get around that with the double quotations at the start. For some reason, makes it realize there's going to be a space in the command. That's if you ever have trouble with trying to get a batch file working that way, that's how you do that. So that is a batch file. You save it as auto start. Your start my iRacing things .txt, as a text file. It saves, and then all you do is rename it, and instead of ending in .txt, you rename it .bat, and it's now a double clickable program that auto runs. The fun part is, because Crew Chief and Voice Attack both are both have a voice portion of them, they want to run in administrative mode. If you've ever double clicked on Crew Chief, it always says, please, give me administrative access. And that's because they want to listen to your microphone, and anything that wants to do that type of stuff, Windows wants it running in administrative mode. Well, that means you need to say 2 times, one for Crew Chief and one for Voice Attack. It has to blank out everything, bring up that, do you grant this program administrative access? And you have to click yes. You can get around that. And that is by making a shortcut of your batch file. So you can see I have a shortcut of my batch file, and then telling this shortcut to run in administrative mode. And you just do that in the properties. You set it, you could manually do it here every single time. But in the properties, you could just say run in administrative mode. And then when you double click on the batch file, that will pop up and say, are you sure you want me to run in administrative mode? And that way it is in administrative mode. Any of the programs that are inside that batch file automatically run in administrative mode. So that gets you around having those programs having to do it twice. I only have to do it once. It's a lazy thing. But yeah, you'll see if I close all these programs. Wait for that one to finally close. And now I double click the shortcut of my batch file. It will come up and prompt me, are you sure you want to run this in administrative mode? Yes. And all of the programs that were contained in there all auto open. All at once. It's lazy mode, man. All right. Was there anything else? Is anyone still here? Do you have any questions? Test drive. What happens if I go to... I showed push to pass. I showed the hybrid system. Brake bias. Brake bias is, the higher your brake bias is, the more to the front it is. The lower your brake bias, the more to the rear it is. No two people are going to brake exactly the same, and you're good. I would hope so. But not every load cell is the same, assuming you have a load cell brake pedal. And then guys with potentiometer, like the ones with just a spring in them, how they press their brakes is going to differ as well. So the brake bias, if someone's like, I use 56% brake bias at this track, that does not necessarily mean you should use 56% brake bias. It gives you an idea. If you're down at like 48%, you're way off. But you might, you put it up to 56%, and suddenly going into the corners, your front tires lock up every single time because your brake pedal's different than the person who told you to use 56%. But 55% might be exactly where you want to be. Like it's giving you that idea of roughly where to be. And you have to, only doing laps, do you figure out, no, this is too high. My front tires are maybe not locking up, but they're rotating slower than the amount of speed I'm coming into the corner with, which just means you're understeering off, right? If the tires aren't rotating, you aren't steering. So of course, if they lock up completely, well, you just go straight. Anyone that's driven on ice knows that. I don't understand people that hit a patch of ice and suddenly stomp on their brakes. It's a quick way into the ditch, says this Canadian. But it's the same where you've got your brake bias. It might look like your front tires aren't locking up, but they're not rotating as fast enough for the speed you're going into the corner. And you can see that on replay with the skid marks you're leaving behind. Even though your tires are rotating, they're not rotating as fast as the car is going. which again means you're understeering. Well, if you have your brake bias too far to the back, your rear tires are all of your power for braking, right? They're the big tires and they have all the weight, the engine's right there. But if those tires lock up, your back end's going to be facing forward. Like, you're going to be facing backwards on the track faster than you can blink. So it's a battle. You want it low, but not so low that the rear tires ever lock up. Because again, the moment they lock up, you're dead. Simple as that. Oh, app.ini. Again, when I was in the car, I was showing that I don't have any of my, by default, none of my fuel stuff is checkmarked. You can only set that manually in the app.ini file in iRacing. iRacing is an old game and has a lot of stuff that is hidden. Basically 95% of all the settings are in the settings in the settings window of iRacing. It's in here is 95% of the stuff. But all of these settings are when you change something in here, in your documents folder, in the iRacing folder, there is a file called app.ini. Anything you change in the settings thing gets updated in this file. So if we open it, it's again just a text file. This is all your settings, like your active, reset, cue, whatever that is. Some audio setting is set to 0. 0 means off, 1 means on. I don't know what any of these are. They're in your, when you're playing with your audio in the settings, when you're moving the audio up and down for the engine and all that, that's changing all of this stuff. What your default, what your default microphone is. For me, it is the microphone bracket USB microphone. That's the name of it in Windows. This is where it's recording it. You see it in the settings. Here it is here. Now, if we scroll down, here's where your chat messages are. So, when you see me press one button key and it says youtube.com/Forsythe Gaming, $. As I say, use a $sign at the end to auto transmit. You can manually set all of this, type all that. You don't have to do it inside the iRacing settings thing. You can change it right here. But let's go down to the pit information, force feedback, graphics. So graphics, server transmit max cars 63. RaceLab Apps really likes you setting this to 63. You can do that in the settings. That's one of their settings. I don't know what the reason is for that, but in RaceLab Apps, they always tell you set it to 63. I hate searching for stuff in here. It's a lot easier to just go Control F pit. I should have just done pit box. Where are we? Oh my God, drive screen, black box. Thank God. I was starting to think I was losing my mind. So, no, that isn't it. Am I losing my mind? Oh, okay. I was losing my mind. This is why the settings menu is so nice. So there is a section called pit service, and this is where you set it. So, do you want your fast repair turned on by default? 1 for yes, that's the default. 0 for no. Do you want your fuel to automatically auto fuel? So 1 is yes, auto fuel. 2 is no. Again, you can adjust the margin in the settings. Well, you can also manually adjust it right here. So request a fast repair every time you exit your vehicle. 1 for yes, 0 for no. That's where that is done in there. I forgot the final thing, and this is going to be a weird thing. So when you go into the settings, all of your controls for your brake pedal, it's all done. You can either have it in iRacing, have it set for every car is the same, or you can customize it for each individual car. By default, every car starts off as all cars, and then when you want to customize it, for the IndyCar, there's the ARBs, there's the weight jacker, there's the hyper jacker. Well, because that's so tailored just to the IndyCar, I of course have it set to only be for this car. I don't need all that stuff in other cars. And in fact, I might want to use some of these other buttons for something else in a different car. So in each individual car, I generally have this car only. But for setting up your brake bias, your gas pedal, your brakes, and your clutch, this is where when you do your calibration, that is actually saved in another file in your documents folder. If you have it set to all cars, it's actually just in this iRacing folder, and it's called Joy Calib. Again, joystick calibration. All your steering wheel is just a joystick. Now, because I have it set to this car only, the specific setup for the Dallara IR18 is actually in, again, because I have it set to this car only, is in your setups folder. In the setups, under the Dallara IR18, there'll be a folder for every car you own. When I go into the Dallara IR18, here's all the various setups or the folders for all the setups for all the different tracks and stuff. But I have Joy Calib, a specific Joy Calib file here that is the setup for this specific car. Now, why I'm showing this is if you watch the pedals here up at the top, if I fully press my brake pedal as hard as I can, it is all the way to the floor. You'll notice it doesn't go all the way to the top. Well, in an IndyCar, why on earth would I ever want to be at 100% brake? That is all four wheels fully locked up. Not something you'd ever do. In a car with ABS, that's something you'd want to be able to do. The ABS will compensate for that because it's like, I won't lock up the tires. So also, if it always asks you about where your dead zone at this, do you want a dead zone at this top? All a dead zone is either at the top or the bottom where it doesn't detect an input. I'm resting my foot on my brake pedal right now, but it's slightly pushed down. It should be detecting it because your all of your pedals are just a 0 to a specific number. That's all they do. Everyone's pedal is going to be slightly different. They're all going to be based on like a 16-bit number. So my pedals can do up to 64-bit, 64 encoding, which is technically 65,535 is the number. That's like if you have 64 megs of RAM, that's technically what it is. It's not really 64,000. But that's the same. You might have pedals that have 16-bit detection. So that means they can go, they detect 0 to 16,000 some hundred number worth of positions. Mine detects 0 to 65,000. It just means that they have more granular detection throughout their range. But I don't want any detection of my brake pedal when I'm just sitting my foot on my brake pedal. So that is why my brake pedal, instead of being at 0, I basically played around with it to find, you can see I'm just there. You can just see it just being detected. I'm barely on it, but that's already at 5,000 as far because it has so much granularity going from 0 to 65,535. So I need it to just be so that I'm not accidentally pressing my brake by just resting my foot on it. Now, as I said, 65,535 is the maximum, is 100% basically. but I don't want my brake pedal to go to 100%. I want it to go to roughly 90-ish%. If I'm ever pressing my brake pedal 90%, I'm about to crash anyway. Like, there's never a time you just basically want to punch it to get that immediate deceleration and then start coming off of it. So you do that just by increasing the number beyond the range of what the pedal's actually able to detect. So instead of 65,535, I have my pedal going up to 74,000. Well, my pedal can't detect 74,000. It only goes up to 65,535. So mashing my pedal down, that's it. Because it's going, okay, I'm at 65,535. When are you going to get to 74,000? That's what 100% is. And that was a trick I was taught, God, years ago, for that type of stuff. But it's also the same. If for your gas pedal, if you have a pedal where your potentiometer is starting to go, like you notice that you're holding it down at 100 at full throttle, and it's wobbling 100%, 99, 100%, 98%, 100%, 99%. Well, your potentiometer is probably dirty. You should, go and clean it out with some isopropyl alcohol. But you can make your pedal, basically you just do the opposite. So your pedal's going up to whatever your max number is. Well, you just go into your Joy Calib thing and tell it, you're basically creating a dead zone at the top. You're lowering the detection point of full throttle. So instead of being, this bottom one here is my gas pedal. And instead of being 65,535, I just have it at 65,000. So that last 535 worth of detection is all 100%. So that is like 0.5% of it's not much, but it's just enough that, like, if there was ever a time where it like I'm lifting there intentionally, but if it was doing a little bit of wobble because the potentiometer was dirty or something, it wouldn't wobble at full throttle. Sure, if I was able to, like, directly, it's how hard it is to hold your throttle at a specific number, 70, like, I'm trying to be as still as possible. But if you had a dirty potentiometer here, you would see it warbling, visibly warbling. And you can just go in with isopropyl alcohol and try and clean it out. There's tutorials online on how to do stuff like that, but that's how I do that. Again, this is my clutch. The reason for this number is because my clutch has a stop. It basically tries to imitate a real clutch. You have to move the friction past a specific point before it then engages, like in a real clutch. If you've ever driven a manual car and you're pushing the clutch, you're that first to open it up is the hard part, and then it goes, and then it releases. And so that's why the clutch on mine doesn't start until 12,000, because that's the point where it starts climbing the friction level on these pedals. Wow, is there anything else? That's basically it. Like, that's just little tips and things inside that I do inside there. Some guys swear that they don't do that at all. They have far better braking control of their car than I do, and don't need to do stupid stuff like that. I am not a good road racer. I'm a above average road racer. But anytime I try and push it, usually involves me locking up all four tires and crashing into a wall. So, but for cars like the GT3, when I was running the GT3 car during was it the Lionheart stuff or the ISRA? I can't remember which league we did, where we did a whole season of GT3 stuff. Well, I didn't have to do any of this weird stuff with my brake because the car has ABS. I hate ABS, and I didn't like that I couldn't turn it off because I'm an old curmudgeon who doesn't like modern things like ABS. But the ABS takes care of that. It won't lock up the tires for you. That's it. Oh, field of view. Make sure you have actually done the calculations for your field of view. Where's that done in this? Oh, displays. Make sure that if you have a single monitor, you've actually got it set to single monitor. You've actually got the width in here proper. Bezel width is only important if you've got multiple monitors. But your viewing distance, get out a tape measure. Measure from your eyeball to the screen. We always say, all of us do this, we want the monitor as close to your eyeball as humanly possible. I have 32s. I don't want these monitors any closer because it's already too damn huge. It's already to the point where I can't play like just normal games on these monitors because they're so close that I have to, in a racing game, you are focused forward and your side monitors are peripheral vision. So if you're looking this way driving a car, you're going to crash. But your peripheral vision is supposed to see to the sides. And that's good enough. Playing normal games where they've got all of the menus and things all over the place, these monitors are so close. On like 27s, it was fine. 32s, too damn big. It's so close that I find myself doing this as I'm looking for the various menus and things in a game. This is very specific for, what did I just do? Oh, I just went down. Okay. So get out a tape measure, measure your viewing distance, hit compute and see what it does. It's going to tell you based on how far your monitor is away, what your field of view is going to be. And you're going to be horrified because you're going to sit there and your monitor is like 3 feet away from you. And it's basically going to say, this is your view. That's your view. And you're like, but I can't see the tires to my left and right. And I can't see my mirrors. And okay, I'm gonna change my the field of view so that I can now see, I want to see the tires and I want to see the mirrors to my left and right. Well, you have the monitors, you've basically done this. You've created a tunnel that widens out like that. So you've basically fisheye lensed what your view is supposed to be. Your mind, of course, can compensate for that. But if you're ever wondering why you're slow to react to things and like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you were that close. It's because you're compensating. And we've all done it. Like if you play all the old Gran Turismo games, we all drive from like the top of the car, and it doesn't matter how, that's the view of the Gran Turismo games, and you have this beautiful view of all of your left and right, and your monitors like your 27-inch TV that was square back in the day. Is way far away. That's just how your driving games. But once you get into like the simulation stuff, you want it to be exactly how it's supposed to be. It's why we say, get your monitors close to your eyes, do the calculation, and you'll suddenly discover it's like, wow, as you can actually see, if you do the calculator while your monitor's 3 feet away from your thing, you get this narrow tunnel. And then if you lie and tell it that no, the monitor's only 2 feet away, your vision, it suddenly says, then your vision is this. Because if you think all your monitor is supposed to be is a window, it's a window to the car. If you take all this away and just pretend it was glass and you're sitting inside the car, where that glass is, where the monitor glass is, that is what your view is supposed to be. So if I've got it pushed far away from me, that you think of the black border around it, that's the view I should have, looking through that window. And that's what your monitor is. Your monitor is a window to the car. So proper field of view, if you go onto Reddit, the guys are like, oh, look at my rig. And then you get the guys that are like, oh my God, your field of view is atrocious. And that's because they're just looking and they see that the guy's got, his monitor's 3 feet away from him, but he's got this beautiful view of like all 90 degrees to the left and right of his car. Well, that's just the most fisheye distorted view ever. Sure, you can drive that way. It's just not right. It's giving you're racing with a distorted view of what you should be seeing. There, that's my soapbox. I'll get off it because I'm a field of view Nazi. Wait, I think you can't use that word on YouTube. Yeah. That's it. Oh, the brakes. I mean, I learned during the PRI 500 that apparently guys are getting even fat. Like, so when I come into pit lane, why was there a red line? That was like the height adjusting thing. Why was that going on? So you'll see that I commonly will hit my pit limiter to slow myself down. Basically, when you have the pit limiter engaged, it throttle restricts the car. You no longer have max throttle. Basically, that's where you hear the car going because the car is no longer letting me full throttle the car anymore. So I'm using a combination of but I've still got my foot to the floor because I still want the rear wheels to be spinning. I want the momentum to still be there, but then I'm pushing hard on the brake. So that combination of me telling the throttle, me telling the engine, no, go. I'm pushing you, go, and the pit limiter being on keeps the rear wheels rotating, even though I'm pushing really hard on the brakes. That's how I can brake really, really hard, is because I have confidence that the rear tires are not going to lock up. I'm accomplishing that by keeping my foot down and using the pit limiter to throttle restrict the car. What I learned during the PRI 500, and I wasn't in it, I just learned this from the broadcast and the guys chatting afterwards, is guys have figured out how to use the hybrid recovery system. So basically, actually I'll go out. I'm on a road course. When I'm out, I'm using my button above my clutch button above my shifter to deploy I need to find a straight. I don't want you to recharge. I'm just going to keep deploying you this whole time. Okay, so you can see my oh my God, Craig, don't hit. I don't even know what setup I've. Deploy. Yeah. Nope, I don't want a penalty. I just want a straight stretch, please. All right, so let's deploy and use up all our hybrid. So all the hybrid is gone. You can see there are no lights in the thing anymore. I press my right button to manually recharge. But you could hear the engine not working. Basically, if I did that on a straight with other cars around me, they would all blow by me. Basically, as I was saying during the race, anytime you're recharging, especially the manual recharge, it's basically like lightly engaging the brakes. I don't know if I guess that's how the hybrid in the back end of the car is working. It basically engages, I assume, somewhere along the drive shaft and starts rotating. And that extra force is what recharges the battery. But it also, of course, slows the car down because there's extra counter rotation happening. What I guess the guys in the PRI 500 figured out is they could actually I would assume they were out of hybrid and were using that's the first time I've ever even tried it, using the recharge along with braking. And apparently that is super brake, like it, I would assume that does the same thing that my pit limiter thing does. That keeps the rear wheels rotating, but also aggressively decelerating because again, I said when you're manually recharging the hybrid system, it's trying to work against the rotation of the drive shaft to create friction to recharge the battery. And apparently those guys were like a second faster pit in, pit out by doing that method. I haven't practiced it at all. I need to obviously try it because a second on Indy is a lot. So, yeah, that's a system that they... Pixel, Gael says hi. Izzy, Gael says hi. Come here. Come here. Meow. Oh. What do you think, Izzy? What do you think? Are you unhappy? You unhappy I got you off of the computer? So yeah, that's the idea behind braking, coming into pit lane. I mean, basically you want your brake bias as low as you can possibly get it, that without the back end locking up. Oh. Hi, Pix. Oh my god. Ooh. Oh. Hi. Oh, right there. Yes. What do you think? Are you unhappy? They've both had their suppers, so they're fine. And she had her butt shaved today, so she will also no longer have litter box accidents for at least another 2 weeks. The challenges of a long-haired cat. Yeah. I can't think of anything else. And also I should probably barbecue some burgers. But yeah, any other questions that you guys come up with, if anything was helpful here, like and subscribe. But yeah, any other questions, you can throw them into the comment section and I'll try and answer them, or jump onto one of my streams and ask me while I'm driving, because I will probably answer it. And what do you mean more overlays? I can add more overlays. There's no such thing as information overload to me. Oh my god. Alt tabbing when you have that many things open is also chaos. Yeah, and that's the other thing, is if you're going to use overlays, you need to have iRacing in windowed mode. And then if you're going to be in windowed mode, you may as well have it in borderless windowed mode. And that's just basically what lets you alt tab quickly. It lets you have multiple active programs. Generally in full screen mode, the thing that is full screen has priority over the computer. And that means a lot of things like overlays won't function because they can't go over top of a full screen game. So that's where you need to go in and say, no, I want you to be in windowed mode. And then you just make well, what window do you want? What size window do you want me to be in? Well, your full screen size. So you're in a window, but it's a full screen sized window. And that's what lets all of these programs are all active at the same time, and that's how the overlays work. Any of the overlay programs, when you install them, they tell you to do that. They're like, you need to be in windowed mode or they won't work properly. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go make burgers. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys. I can't believe half of you stayed here till the end. Me muttering and doing stuff. Yeah. Merry Christmas. I will not be back until next week. So everyone enjoy, stay safe, make good choices, pet your kitty cats. Till later, stay safe.